The studio lights are hot, and the tension in the room is thick. The American flag hangs proudly behind Donald Trump, who sits at a glossy news desk across from two visibly uncomfortable anchors. Cameras are rolling. It's prime time. The chyron blinks red at the bottom of the screen. Breaking. Trump erupts over West Africa. Insult. Trump is mid-rant, gesturing wildly at a digital map of West Africa projected on the screen beside him. His voice is raised, words spilling out faster than the anchors can keep up. Look at this. Look at what he's doing. This guy, Ibrahim Traoré, he's completely ignoring us. Ignoring me. We told him to stop messing around, and now what's he doing? Nationalizing everything. The gold, the resources, he's giving it all to Russia and God knows who else. He jabs at Burkina Faso on the map, nearly knocking over his glass of water. One of the anchors tries to interject. Mr. President, with respect, Traoré has claimed. Trump cuts him off. No, 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 don't defend him. He's disrespecting American leadership. We had everything under control until these radical ideas started spreading. He's kicking out the French, insulting NATO, and now he's talking about a Pan-African Defense Force. It's ridiculous. Totally reckless. The camera pans briefly to the control room, where producers are exchanging panicked looks. A stagehand mouths, cut to commercial. But the director shakes her head. They're committed now. Trump leans in, his voice quieter but more venomous. You watch what happens next. He thinks he can just ignore us. We'll see about that. He suddenly pounds the desk for emphasis, making the microphones jump. People said I was tough, and I was tough. But this is just straight up stupidity. It's gonna ruin Burkina Faso. It's gonna destabilize Africa. And you know what happens when Africa's destabilized. We all pay the price. The ticker at the bottom scrolls frantically. Traoré is leading Burkina Faso to disaster, tensions escalate over African military moves. One of the anchors, sweat on his brow, smiles nervously at the camera and tries to regain control of the segment. Well, strong words from former President Trump tonight. Coming up next. But Trump isn't done. I warned everybody, he mutters, glaring at the camera. And no one listened. The screen cuts abruptly to commercial. A pharmaceutical ad plays over a black screen while the studio erupts into chaos behind the scenes. The sound in the room is still, save for the hum of an overhead fan and the low murmur of a muted television in the corner. On the screen, Donald Trump's furious gestures loop silently on a news channel. But in the heart of Ouagadougou, inside the modest but resolute presidential office, Captain Ibrahim Traoré sits unmoved. He wears his military fatigues with ease, beret resting on the desk beside him. Around him, aides and journalists gather, waiting for a statement. But Traoré doesn't rush. He sips from a glass of tea, eyes resting momentarily on Trump's animated face on the screen, then looks away, bored. One of his advisors leans forward. Mon Président, Washington is escalating the rhetoric. They're pressuring ECOWAS again. They want a response. Traoré doesn't look up. He slowly closes a leather-bound dossier on his desk. Embossed in gold letters, Direction Nouvelle, Stratégie pour une Afrique libre. They're panicking, he says softly. Which means we're doing something right. The journalists lean in as he gestures for them to begin recording. A young Burkinabe reporter, holding a mic labeled BF1, clears his throat. Captain Traoré, former U.S. President Trump just accused you of reckless governance and claimed that your policies will destabilize Africa. Do you have a response? Traoré smiles faintly, but it's the kind of smile that hides iron behind it. We do not take orders from men who see our continent as a chessboard, he says. His voice is calm but deliberate. Burkina Faso is not the backyard of any empire, former or current. The cameras capture the moment. Flash bulbs pop. Someone scribbles notes furiously. Let others shout, he continues. We're too busy building. He opens another folder and slides it across the desk. The press glimpses a map with bold arrows linking Burkina Faso to Mali and Niger, marked with the words Forces Souveraines Africaines. While others panic, we organize. While they cling to the past, we shape the future. His spokesperson, a sharp-eyed woman in her early 30s, steps forward and distributes a brief communiqué to the journalists. It announces the upcoming ratification of a security and economic pact among Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. The headline is unmistakable. A new front. Africa will defend its own. One of the younger reporters, stunned, looks up from the paper. Captain, are you saying you're forming an alliance outside of ECOWAS and foreign influence? Traoré folds his hands. He meets the reporter's eyes directly. I'm not saying it, he replies. I'm doing it. Silence fills the room, then an eruption of questions from every corner. But Traoré simply stands, nods to his aides, and leaves the cameras behind. His walk is unhurried, unbothered. Trump's rage flickers on the TV behind him, but he never looks back. He has no reason to. He's already moved on. The air in the U.S. State Department briefing room is tense, thick with the buzz of incoming notifications and urgent whispers. A sea of reporters sits in front of the podium, eyes fixed on their phones, where headlines are exploding in real time. Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger sign historic regional defense pact. Western military presence in Sahel faces sudden eviction. Traoré, Africa will stand guard over its own destiny. Inside a glass-walled office behind the briefing hall, a small group of senior analysts and diplomats huddle over a table, pale-faced, watching the live feed from Africa. One of them, a graying national security advisor, rubs his temples. He actually did it, he mutters. He didn't just talk. He signed it. It's ratified. Another analyst throws a folder onto the table. And the French, they're out of Ouagadougou. Their embassy is operating on emergency staff. Russian contractors are already rumored to be in control of two major gold sites. The door opens. A junior aide enters, flushed and breathless. The press is waiting. They want a formal response now. Europe's asking for a joint statement. The State Department spokesperson, a career diplomat with the look of someone used to measured words and controlled optics, straightens her blazer and steps out to the podium. The cameras click instantly. She begins to speak, but there's a slight tremble behind her professional poise. The United States is closely monitoring recent developments in West Africa, she says. We have long advocated for democratic transitions and regional cooperation. However, she glances at her notes, as if searching for a lifeline. We are deeply concerned by what appears to be a rapid militarization under Captain Traoré's leadership. The press immediately lights up with questions. Is the United States prepared to sanction Burkina Faso further? Is this the beginning of a Cold War in Africa? Does Washington still consider ECOWAS effective? She raises a hand, trying to contain the flurry. Let me be clear. We urge restraint. We are calling for dialogue. No region benefits from isolationist military coalitions. But her words fall flat. Behind her, a wall mounted. Screen splits between two images. On the left, Ibrahim Traoré standing before a jubilant crowd in Bamako, flanked by the presidents of Mali and Niger. On the right, a clip of Donald Trump yelling red-faced on live television, replayed again and again. In the hallway, a senior Pentagon official speaks off the record to a European diplomat. We underestimated him. Traoré's not a placeholder. He's building something real. And people are following. Outside, in front of the State Department, protesters begin gathering, African diaspora activists waving flags, chanting in French and Bambara. Some hold signs. Hands off the Sahel, Africa is not your game board, Traoré speaks for millions. Inside, the mood is somber. A tectonic shift has occurred, and Washington feels it. For all the power in its vaults, it has no map for what comes next. The summit hall in Accra is alive with the electric hum of history in the making. Delegates from across Africa fill the vast space, ministers, military leaders, youth representatives, and elders, all dressed in an array of national fabrics and military uniforms. Banners hang high above the stage, their words bold and unapologetic. African sovereignty, united, unbowed. As the crowd settles, a series of speakers deliver brief addresses, applause follows, polite, respectful. But all eyes remain fixed on the empty podium in the center of the stage, waiting. Then, a shift. A murmur moves through the hall as Captain Ibrahim Traoré steps into the light. He wears no tailored Western suit, Only his sand-colored military uniform, simple and austere, the insignia of Burkina Faso gleaming on his chest. His expression is calm, grounded, but there is a weight behind his eyes, a man not chasing power, but carrying burden. He pauses a moment, scanning the crowd before speaking. His voice is steady, deep, unhurried. We were not born to be satellites, he begins. Africa did not emerge from the shadows of colonization to enter new forms of submission disguised as cooperation. The audience is silent, rapt. Cameras record every word, live streams surge with comments in Swahili, Wolof, Arabic, French, English, and more. The diaspora watches from London, Paris, Lagos, Atlanta, Dakar. We have begged for partnerships. We have waited for fairness. We have tolerated lectures while our minerals, our youth, and our dignity were taken. That era ends now. Applause begins, tentative, then swelling. We do not reject the world. We reject the leash. The hall erupts. Flags wave, hands clap. Some delegates rise to their feet. The moment is no longer political, it is emotional, even spiritual. Young African soldiers standing near the back exchange looks of pride and disbelief. Older Pan-African veterans wipe tears from their eyes. Traoré lifts a leather folder and opens it in full view. Inside are signed agreements, stamped with national seals. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso stand together. Others will join, not to wage war, but to protect our peace, and to reclaim what is ours by birthright, our future. In a control room somewhere in New York, a stunned journalist whispers, "This is the speech Lumumba never got to finish." Back in the summit, Traoré closes his folder and raises one final message, this time for the world outside Africa. We don't need validation. We need freedom. And we will have it, with or without your applause. The crowd roars. Outside the summit center, a sea of supporters chants his name. The streets of Accra are alive with celebration. Fireworks light the sky, not for a single man, but for an idea reborn. Far away, in a quiet room, a television flickers with footage of Traoré's speech. Donald Trump stares at the screen in silence. For once, he has nothing to say. Because the story has moved on without him.